Thanks for coming by and taking the time to talk with me. I'm here with Paul Chang, who is the Executive Director of the Korean National Plan, and with Fred Allen, who is the Executive Director of Strengthening the Black Church for the 21st Century. And I've asked them to talk with me a little bit about the work of the ethnic plans that have been approved by General Conference, and how they see their role and the role of the ministries that they represent in the future of our church. So I thank you for agreeing to join me in some conversation about the church and our mission and what the future has in store.
Good to be here.
As you know, national plans are General Conference initiatives with which the whole church strengthens the racial ethnic ministries of the United Methodist Church. To talk about the Korean National Plan, our mission statement is to integrate Wesleyan tradition and Korean spirituality to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. So we try to do this work in three major areas: congregational development, leadership development, and resource development. And also in the next quadrennium, we plan to add two more areas, and one is justice ministry. We have not been very active in this area, but we want to be more active in the area of justice ministry, especially on the immigration issues. And also in our denomination, there is this perception that getting ordained for racial ethnic folks is getting more difficult. And so we also see this as a justice issue, and we wanted to do some advocacy work on this area. Also, we want to reflect the global nature of the United Methodist Church for our work. So next quadrennium, if approved, we want to change our name from Korean National Plan to Korean Ministry Plan to expand the horizon of our work outside of the U.S. So we want to work with some global and ecumenical organizations, and also our own central conferences too.
I think it's important for the church to understand that the national plans, the directors have been working together, collaborating, looking at opportunities where we can find commonality, as well as some of the unique opportunities and challenges that we can learn from one another. It's been a real privilege, an opportunity to be involved in strengthening the Black church for the 21st century. The concept of the program is to be an instrument that provides impetus for our local churches across the connection in every jurisdiction, in every annual conference, to find ways by which they can be transformed, revitalized, and strengthened. We've worked in various annual conferences in helping them to develop a strategic plan in a comprehensive way. This includes the cabinets of the annual conferences, connectional ministries, local pastors and staff, district superintendents, etc. So the concept is to collaborate as much as we can with the annual conferences, which is a bit new from what has existed in the past. We believe that this makes it more affordable. It broadens the net so that more people could be involved and take advantage of the program that we're trying to implement. So the grid or the scorecard that might be used to determine whether a church is vital simply based upon numbers and the ability or the capacity of paying apportionments, etc., may and should not be the only measurements. And I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I think that we've got to be creative. And when we think about some of the conversations around the adaptive challenges and the changes, that we need to be broad in our thinking. We need to be able to understand the ethos of all of our communities and to know and to acknowledge there are some very unique and some very distinct ways by which vitality would manifest itself. I think there are a variety of singing genre. There may be gospels, there may be spirituals, there may be contemporary praise hymns, there may be some of the traditional hymns. And some churches may utilize those gifts or those resources in one way opposed to another. I think in our church, the energy level is different in terms of the response from the congregation to what the preacher may be saying. So vitality cannot just be measured in one way. I think there has to be a variety of components. Another issue that I want to raise in terms of how do you measure the vitality and the utilization of resources, particularly digital and technology. In some of our communities, some people would think that everybody has access, even through the public library or through the school systems, etc. But many of our constituency in the black community are still behind. The gap is still there. So I think we have to take all of that into consideration when we talk about how do we assess, how do we measure the vitality and the sustainability of a local church. I think leadership, both in the lay and clergy side, is essential.
I agree with Fred in that there's no absolute objective criteria for a vital congregation. But however, there are some signs of a vital congregation. And if you look at our brochure, there are several core values listed for the Korean National Plan. And they are radical hospitality, passionate spirituality, small group ministry, and sacrificial giving. And I think these 4 core values are signs of a vital congregation in any place. And so what Korean National Plan has been doing is to help our congregations to put these values into practice so that each and every congregation becomes a vital congregation.
One of the ideas or thoughts that I've heard from a variety of constituency groups across the church is a concern about continuing to invest in the plans because of a perception that the plans have not produced the type of fruit that the church expected. And so, you know, what do you have to say about that as you continue to vision your work in these communities? What do you say to folks who would say it doesn't look like you've accomplished all that much?
Okay, I think that kind of question kind of challenge us, I think, to do better work. And but in reality, I think we are really doing the kind of work that the whole church expects us to do. And when people ask those questions, I ask them to put some real statistics on the table so that we can talk about, the reality. And if you look at the what Korean National Plan has been doing in this quadrennium, first in the area of congregation development, we started as many as 20 congregations. And also in the area of leadership development, we have trained about 250 clergy persons to be small group ministers. And also we have trained about 1,000 lay persons also to be small group ministers too. And I think this is the measurable outcome that we have produced for our work. And also there are some ministry resources such as a small group ministry manual, and also the newcomers manual and so forth. So I think our record shows that we are doing the kind of work that the whole church expects us to do. Of course, there is some room for improvement.
I would love to be able to say to those folk who have developed those perceptions, where did you get them from? How did you arrive at those perceptions? Have you actually taken an intentional look at the reports and the summary reports? We are obligated to make a report to the General Conference. In our petition for the continuation of SBC 21, the preamble to that petition has a lot to say about where we have been, what accomplishments we've made over the last 4 years, and statistically, the church growth in terms of professions of faith, outreach ministries, youth ministries, worship, small group study, Bible study, etc. We have done, in my opinion, a phenomenal job. And I would simply challenge those perceptions to take another look and not base your opinions on what you hear or what you think or what may be influenced by stereotypical ideas and thoughts, but to look at the real facts, engage in some conversation. The books are open, so we can open those up and let you see the process, visit some of the churches to see what they are doing and where they started. So a strong opposition to those perceptions. We're doing a great job.